DreAllDay.com.
Now tuned in to the show where you learn the discipline to show up day after day to do the work, the confidence to put yourself out there boldly and authentically, and the mental toughness to continue showing up, doing the work, putting yourself out there, even when the success you've expected to achieve is yet to be achieved. And on top of all this, you get a huge dose of personal initiative, which is the go-getter energy that moves all of us, especially you, to go make things happen instead of waiting for things to happen. And we put all this together into one framework, one philosophy. We have codified the entire system that you can follow inside of our university. We got a book on the subject. We got a university that I just mentioned, and you are listening to the Daily Masterclass. All of them had the same title under the same umbrella that is called Work on Your Game. My name is Dre Baldwin, also known as Dre All Day, and welcome to the show. And today's topic, are you hustling or being hustled? And it is one or the other. I mean, one of the principles that we all should understand is that in life you are either building or destroying. Every single one of us. Episode number 1568, we talked about this. You are either build or destroy, which means nothing is neutral. And today's topic is about you're either hustling or being hustled. You're on one side of the equation or you're on the other. There is no in between. So this is about today, we're talking about the way that we use our time, which is the most valuable resource we have, and where our use of our time or other people's use of our time, we're not using it, somebody else is using it, where it is taking us, if anywhere. Maybe your use of your time is taking you absolutely nowhere, but maybe it's taking you exactly where you want to go. Only you can answer that question. But today, I'm going to provide some insights and some questions for you to think about in this framework that I'm going to give you here today for you to really consider what you're doing with your time, and is it helping you or is it hurting you? And yes, it is doing one or the other. So I would first refer you to episode number 609, the 5 forms of investment and how to use each. Again, that's episode 609. And with that being said, let's just get right into it, because anything else I would say in this introduction is part of our point. So the topic, once again, is are you hustling or are you being hustled? Point number 1, what is your return on investment on the time you allow others to take from you? I'll repeat that question. What is your return on investment on the time that you allow others to take from you? For example, if you were to hop on any application that you have on your phone right now, whether it's your email, your text messages, any social media platform, any other platform, any other app, this that you're listening to right now, whatever you're listening to, if you're listening to me right now, you're not doing anything else, I'm taking a little bit of your time. I'm taking a percentage of your attention right now. What's the return on investment of what I'm taking from you? Can you point to some return on investment? Is this making you smarter? Is it making you better? Is it taking you further? Is it helping you do what you do when you go out there and do your thing? I would assume the answer is yes, because that's our aim here. So if we are failing to achieve that, you should let me know, all right, so we can make our adjustments. But the question I'm presenting to you here is for you to look at everything else that you do. Is it making you better? The time you spend, responding to a comment that somebody else posted on somebody else's page, and you don't know the person who posted it, you don't know the person who did the original post, but you're going back and forth with somebody you don't even know, might not even be a real human being. Where's that taking you? The time that you spend watching videos on YouTube or TikTok or LinkedIn or Instagram, where are they taking you? Can you draw a line between where you're at with those and where you actually want to go in your life? Is it helping you go further or is it not? The answer is a yes or no. And specifically this point, when I made this point, I was specifically thinking about social media, because social media is a very powerful tool. And I'm absolutely not against social media. Just in case anybody thought that, I'm absolutely not against social media. I use social media every day, maybe more than some of you. I publish to it probably more than a lot of you who are on here, at least as far as publishing my own content to social media. But at the same time, you got to understand that social media is a tool, and you got to make sure that you are not being used by the tool, but you are actually using the tool. All right, and there are 2 different ways that it could be used. You could be the product, or you can use it as a product. And a lot of times we are being used. When I say we, I'm talking about human beings. We get used as the product by social media. There's a reason why Facebook makes the kind of money that they make. The reason they're able to sell advertising at the price that they sell it for, Google as well, the reason they can sell it the way that they do. And Instagram, Snapchat, TikTok, they're all going to eventually sell advertising same way that Facebook does right now, is because they are able to point to their advertising and say, look at how much time we are taking from all these users every single day. Look how much time they're giving us. Look how long they're staying on our apps every single day. We are taking the life out of them, and now we're going to sell it to you, advertiser, for X number of dollars. That's what they do every single day. In episode number 1690, I told you, a dirty secret that social media platforms don't want you to know. All right, this is how they are sucking time out of you every single day. In episode number, I gotta go back to it. Episode number 1114. How much does social media matter to or for your business? Any of you who is in business and you've been thinking, well, maybe I need to publish to social media more. That's how I get more audience to my landing page, or this is how I can get more sales of my product. Maybe not. I would actually say probably not. I don't think publishing to social media is the key to you selling more of your products. I think the key to you selling more of your products is, first of all, figuring out who exactly you're trying to sell it to, then figuring out where those people are at, and then speaking directly to those people with the material that you put out, which does not necessarily have to be done through social media, but that's a different conversation for a different day, something that we do talk about inside of university at workonyourgameuniversity.com. Going back to point number one here, when anyone takes time from you, all right, unless you happen to be doing volunteer or charity work, or you're spending time with your family, all right, those are the exceptions. So if you're doing volunteer work, charity work, or you're spending time with your family, I'm not talking about that, but any other time that someone is taking your time, there needs to be a payoff for that time that is of greater value than what you are giving. So if you're giving someone an hour of your time, ask yourself, what is that? What are you getting in exchange for that hour from that person? If you can't answer the question, you should probably discontinue that practice. That's a sacred cow you might want to kill off, like we talked about in yesterday's episode. You need to gain from your investments. All right, an investment that is not producing a return is a bad investment. It's not an investment, it's an expense. Once you are aware that it's costing you, but you're not getting anything back, it's no longer an investment, it's an expense. Now, the first time you make an investment and it doesn't really pay you back and you see how it's going, okay, maybe you can call that a bad investment because you didn't know what you didn't know. But now that you know that something's not producing a result, you know that talking to this mofo over here is not going to produce anything for you, but you keep giving them your time, what are you doing? All right, now you are incurring expenses. Those are no longer investments, because you can't keep calling it an investment if you already know that it doesn't work, but you're just going to keep pouring money into it. What sense does that make? You need to gain from every investment that you make. Again, the exceptions being time with your family, charity, volunteer work. Everything else you got to gain from it. Now, is this selfish? Is this a really self-centered way of thinking? Is this a way of looking at the world and just asking, what is the world going to do for me if I'm going to give something? Absolutely, yes. Yes, this is a selfish way of thinking. You know what else is selfish, everybody? Success. Success is selfish. All right? Achieving what you want to achieve is selfish. Winning is selfish. All right? Doing things for yourself so that you will be more equipped, better equipped to do things for others, that's selfish as well. So if you are not willing to be selfish, then you are cutting off, you're cutting off at the knees your possibility of becoming successful. To become a success, you must be selfish. So again, the question is, what is the return on investment of any time that you are giving to another person? And now the first time you deal with somebody and you realize that there's really no ROI from dealing with that individual, now you know, okay, now you can't keep making the same mistake. Now you know better. Because if you don't know something and then you make a mistake, we can call that being ignorant. Ignorance means not to know. But if you know better and then you keep making the same mistake, then we call that stupid. Stupid is when you know better, but you do it anyway. So which one do you want to be? Hopefully neither one, but it's okay to be ignorant once. Now, after the first time you were ignorant, every time subsequently that you do the same thing, now you're stupid. Point number 2. Today's topic, once again, is, are you hustling or are you being hustled? Question number 2. What is your current strategy for self-improvement? I'm pausing on that so you can think about it a little bit. What is your strategy right now for self-improvement? Do you have a strategy for self-improvement? Wait, first of all, do you want to improve? Hopefully, I'm not even gonna say hopefully. If you're listening to this show, you do want to improve. So what's your strategy for getting there? What are you doing? How are you planning to get better and advance in your life? If you don't have an answer, let me help you out with your answer. All right, you don't have a strategy. That's the answer. You don't have one. If you don't have a plan, ladies and gentlemen, you are the plan. I'll say that again and I'll explain what I mean. If you don't have a plan, you are the plan. And what you are is somebody else's plan where you are a mere pawn in their game. If you don't have a plan for yourself, you are part of somebody else's plan. The thing is, you're not a king or a queen or a bishop or a rook or a knight in that game. You are a pawn in the game. Any of you who doesn't know how to play the game of chess, you should see my episode on chess that I discussed the game. That was episode number 922, Chess and Life, a discussion. I also got a video on YouTube on that a lot of people like. You just look up Dre Baldwin chess. You can see that. Pawns, for those of you who don't know the game of chess, they are the most disposable pieces of the game. They are the most numerous. They are the most circulated, most easily available, thusly the least valuable pieces in the game. They're disposable. They go out of the game easy. They play the front line. And the front line soldiers are the ones who get killed off first. So if you don't have a plan, you are a pawn in the game. And here's the problem with being a pawn in somebody else's game, is that human beings do not grow by default after puberty. After you get to a certain age, let's say between the ages of 17 and 25 years old, you will experience no more growth by default. All right, that growth up to age 19 or 22 just happens, just the universe forces that growth upon you. But then after that, if you're going to grow any more from ages 21 up to 95, you have to choose to do so. And if you don't choose to do so, it'll be 70 years of you being the exact same person. While the rest of the world is moving forward, you're still in the same spot you were 60 years ago. How does that feel? Well, how will it feel? Do not be a pawn in the game. And the way you become a pawn in the game is for you to not have a strategy for your own growth, but somebody else has one and they're using you in order to get to where they want to get to. All right, is that selfish for them to do that? Yes. But are you allowing it? Yes. All right, you are basically complicitly allowing somebody else to use you as a pawn in their game simply because you have failed, or you have failed. You have chosen to not participate in the creation of your own success. All right, so you're getting hustled because you've chosen not to hustle. That's why I told you got to be doing one or the other. You are not going to grow and advance by default in this life. Point number 3. Today's topic, once again, is are you hustling or are you being hustled? Let's get a definition of this word hustle. It means to obtain by forceful action or persuasion. And that's what hustle is. All right, any of you have a negative connotation around the very concept of hustling? All right, do you want to attain? Is there ever something in life that you want to obtain or wanted to obtain, but the only way you could get it was through forceful action because it wasn't coming to you and nobody was handing it to you? I would assume that everyone listening to this can answer that question in the affirmative. That everything in life is not going to be handed to you, at least not the things that you really want. So you got to obtain it by forceful action. You got to force somebody to give that up. Or you had to persuade them to give it to you. Maybe they have it. Maybe they just weren't thinking about not giving it. It's not that they were resisting. It's just that they were completely unaware. They were oblivious to your existence, but you wanted something from them. In order to get it, you had to persuade them to give it to you. You had to persuade them to pay attention to you. You had to sell them on the concept of what you wanted because it had nothing to do with what they had going on. So you had to persuade them or you obtained it by forceful action. Sometimes, some things in life, ladies and gentlemen, these are the only 2 ways you're going to get it. All right. Yes, you can be worthy of it and you can, follow the law of attraction, whatever you've heard about it, whether from me or from anyone else, and you can think that you're deserving of it and, get a petition signed and hope that people notice you at some point. But those things are not always going to work. Sometimes in life, you got to get forceful. Sometimes in life, you got to go on the offensive in order to get what you want, which means you will have to persuade a person or you will have to force a person to bend to your will. And if you're not willing to engage in these energies, then you should also not be expecting to achieve everything that you want to achieve in life. That's just how it goes. So here's the questions. What are you after? Where are you going? Because a hustler, if you are, again, the topic is, are you a hustler and being hustled? Hustlers have an aim. Hustlers have a target that they want to reach. So if you don't have a target, if you don't have an aim, you are the one being hustled. Now, how do I know this? Because as I just told you, when you don't have an aim for yourself, someone else will leverage your time, your energy, and use you to achieve their aims. Now, again, is that manipulative? Not really, because you're allowing it to happen. I mean, you have free will, but if you are not engaging your brain to understand these things that I'm talking about here, then it is not their fault that you didn't engage your brain. They engaged theirs, you didn't engage yours. Hey, they're not responsible for that. You're responsible for that. In the book called Outwitting the Devil, Napoleon Hill, who's the author of one of my favorite books called The Law of Success, and this one, Outwitting the Devil, is another one of my favorites. He talked about the bad habit of drifting. This book uses this word drifting many, many times. And when a human being has no aim, what happens is the devil, quote unquote, when you read the book, you'll understand the concept better. The devil overtakes that person and drives this person into failure in life by the habit of drifting. The habit of drifting is when you pretty much don't have an aim You don't have a focus. There's no target that you're trying to hit. There's no specific place that you're trying to get to. Thusly, you are just literally drifting through life. Whichever direction the wind blows, that's the direction that you go. So if the wind shifts, then you also shift. Because you have no aim, you don't go against the grain. You go with the grain wherever the grain happens to be going, even if it's going haphazardly in all different directions. That's where you end up going because you don't have a plan. You don't have a process. You don't know what you're actually trying to achieve. And this is how many people are living their lives right now. They're basically drifting. Whatever happens, happens. Whatever somebody says, says. Whatever direction things go, they go. I don't have any control. I don't know. All right, that's how most people are living a life of I don't know. Where am I going? What am I doing? What am I hustling for? Where is this taking me? All right, they don't know. They don't have answers to these questions. Therefore, they are drifting. Therefore, the devil, as Napoleon Hill talks about his allegorical account in his book, Outwitting the Devil, which I suggest you read if you have not. Devil takes over them. They drift through life, and they eventually end up all their value still within them, taking it to the most valuable real estate on earth, which I talked about in an episode, I believe it was 408, the graveyard. 468, the graveyard, the most valuable real estate on earth. When you don't have an aim, you drift. And when you drift, all your value stays within you. Nobody else gets to enjoy it. You don't get to enjoy it because the only way you can enjoy it is by sharing it with other people and then reaping the returns from doing so. Since you didn't do it because you didn't have a plan on doing it, somebody else used you for their aim. You help them achieve their aim, but you don't get any ROI from it. And that's pretty much how it ends. That's the end of your story. All right, how would you like that to be the outcome of what you're doing, the outcome of your life, your time that you have here available? So let's recap today's class. The question is, are you hustling or are you being hustled? You are doing one or the other. And if you can't clearly articulate how you are hustling, then you are the one being hustled. Whether you're being hustled by an application, by a social media platform, by another human being, or by, as Napoleon Hill said, the devil, quote unquote, you are being hustled one way or another. There is no neutral here. So this is about the way we use our time, was the most valuable resource we have, and where that use of time is taking us, if anywhere. Again, refer yourself to episode number 609, where I discuss the 5 forms of investment: time, money, attention, energy, focus, and how to use them. Number 1, what is your return on investment on the time you allow others to take from you? Specifically, social media platforms. When anyone takes your time, unless it is volunteer work or time with your family, there needs to be a payoff for that time that is of greater value than what you are giving. You need to gain from those investments. If you are not gaining from your investments, you are losing, and eventually you will lose your shirt, you will go broke. Is this selfish? Yes. You know what else is selfish? Success. Point number 2. What's your current strategy for self-improvement? How are you planning to get better in advance? If you don't have an answer, that means you don't have a plan. If you don't have a plan, then you are the plan. Somebody else's plan, where you are a mere pawn in the game. And if you don't know how to play chess, understand that pawns are the most disposable pieces in the game. They get destroyed easily, and very little pomp and circumstance is made of the fact that a pawn got destroyed because nobody cared about them in the first place. Humans do not grow by default after puberty. Point number 3, definition of hustle is to obtain by forceful action or persuasion. Many things that you want in life, people are not going to hand to you. Nobody's going to be looking out for you. Nobody's going to be really thinking of you more than they're thinking of themselves. Therefore, in order for you to get it, you must get forceful, you must get aggressive, and you must be persuasive. If you're not willing to do those things, i.e. sell yourself, we got a whole course on this in Work on Your Game University, then you are not going to get the things that you want, and you will have to settle for mediocrity. So the question is, what are you after? Where are you going? Hustlers have an aim, they have a target, and if you don't have one, you are the one being hustled. How do I know this? Because when you don't have an aim in life, somebody else will leverage your time and energy to use you to achieve their aims. Napoleon Hill talked about this in his book called Outwitting the Devil. If you haven't read it, I suggest you go read it twice. You're ready to stop drifting. You're ready to have a specific plan where we go over. Number 1, developing your game, whatever your game happens to be, wherever you're trying to go in life. Number 2, getting that game out to the world so you can show your game and sell your game to the world. And number 3, collecting the return on investment from the game that you have and from the value that you are giving to the world. 1, 2, 3. If you're ready to do that and have a clear plan for doing so with me, yes, me, Dre Baldwin, coaching you through it, then I suggest you log on to workonyourgameuniversity.com, choose a level, and get started so we can start getting you the ROI from your game that you deserve. If you're ready to stop drifting, work on your game. Dre, all